What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Terror Table, a horror movie podcast that's presented by the Saskatchewan Podcast Network. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Mitch Oliver, and with me I always have...
Bone Thugs and Buzi.
Bone Thugs and Buzi. It sounds delicious. Yeah, we have no Kyle today, but we have a very special episode planned. And so this is going to be, I think this will be our third official Druid's Hand Kickstarter backer episodes, where we had some really lovely giving people who were offered to help us out with their wallets and help us get our film made and everything. And one of those people is none other than Big L from New York City.
Woo, woo, woo.
How's it going, Elio?
Hey guys, what's up? How's it going?
Going great, especially better now that you're here.
I know.
Where's your New York accent?
I don't have one. I grew up in the suburbs outside of New York City, and despite my family being from Queens, that accent is very loose on me. I got nothing.
Nothing.
So you don't even got a Queens. Do your parents have a Queens accent?
My dad 100% is the most generic Italian man from Queens you could possibly imagine.
Loves the Yankees.
No, not the Mets.
Oh, sorry.
Mets.
Yeah, I forgot.
Oh, it's the fucking Mets.
Yeah,
I forgot I'm on a podcast with some fucking Canadians.
That's exactly it. And New York is so, like, I've never been to New York, but it's on my bucket list. I know you and we've talked about it. I'm going to eventually get down there for a visit. You're going to show me around.
Yeah, I'll show you the sights.
Yeah, but it'll have to be once the world calms down, because New York's one of the places that's been hit hardest, I think, like out of everywhere. But understandably, there's so many fucking people there.
Yeah, I think we finally peaked again with COVID, where the numbers are starting to stabilize. But like, you two know this, the audience does not know this. I'm a New York City public school teacher in the Bronx, and literally the past 2 weeks at work have been insane. Like, we have 300 kids in our building, and 220 of them were absent.
Jesus.
Out of the 27 teachers we had for like 2 straight weeks, we had like 16 absent on average. It was absolutely insane.
That's fucking so sad, and I feel bad following it up with a comment like this, but I can't help but picture you as like a Michelle Pfeiffer type character in Dangerous Minds. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen that, but instead of Michelle Pfeiffer, just think of a tubby Italian man never leaving his apartment, and that's what movie that is.
Oh no, so you're not the leather jacket cool teacher that's gonna get the rough kids back on track?
If imagine that, but a nerd they all make fun of for being a nerd, but they kind of love him anyway. That's my teaching role.
Okay, those are the teachers that I always like the most anyways. But yeah, we'll get moving on with this episode. We got lots of stuff to talk about. I know Elio's got some really exciting things to share with us. I believe I've even asked you, I don't know if you ended up doing it, but I told you to prepare your own little top 10 if you wanted to share some movies. But before we get into all that, I just want to say that we're going to be covering Elio's pick this week, VHS 94, which is a film that was released in 2021, and it was featured on Buzi's top 10 of the year. And I believe that was like in your top 5, wasn't it, Buzi? It was pretty high.
I think it was number 4, if I'm remembering correct.
Mambo number 4, yeah. But so before we get on to what we've been seeing and all of our normal regular shenanigans, do you guys want to hear a word from our sponsors out there in New York? Do you love hearing from Connexus Credit Union?
I know Elio wants to.
I do love hearing from the Credit Union of Canada. It makes me feel like I don't live here.
The Saskatchewan Podcast Network is supported by Connexus. Connexus Credit Union is all about their members. Improving their financial well-being drives everything they do. And that's not just something they say. It's a promise that's delivered by over 900 employees across Saskatchewan. Their employees are members too, and they've been there, so they're committed to making your money work for you. The banking industry needs to change, and Connexus is changing it for everyone because Connexus cares. Visit connexus.ca to learn more.
Now we can just get on with the show. So yeah, we got Elio all the way from New York City. That was a pretty funny joke, hey? The Saturday Night Live thing?
What?
Live from New York City.
Oh no, I don't know the context of it.
You've never seen Saturday Night Live?
Good. Don't watch it.
I don't like Saturday Night Live. I think I tried.
It's bad.
I loved it back in the day.
Honestly, I'd rather watch reruns of Mad TV.
Thank you.
Oh, well,
better show.
Will Sasso, Vancouver boy.
Better show.
Well, yeah, like we said, we're going to be talking about VHS 94 today. But before that, I just want to give you, I know I've already talked to you about this and everything, Elio, but thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping out with our film. You have no idea how much it means, and how it's people like you that were able to get us on the track to being able to do it. Some really exciting things have happened even this week. Like, this has been the most eventful week for the film since we wrapped. Because we're getting the color grading done. We just got our score completed. It's getting really, really exciting. So I'm very excited to show you what you helped us create.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm like the least educated film fan in the entire world. I don't know what anything with film means. I just know I like watching movies. And with how I listen to all of you guys talk on the show, watching Jesse and his work on Twitter and the band and everything like that, I knew that the movie was going to be cool. So when you guys made the Kickstarter and was like, oh, you can support this in a little bit, I'm all about that DIY work ethic. So I was like, absolutely have to back this and help my homies out.
Hell yeah.
So I'm very excited.
Thanks so much, dude. Really, really appreciate that. And speaking of being like you were almost a regular host on our boys podcast, Erie International, because I don't know if they've done it. It's been a little while since they've done the first 20 minutes where it's just emails from you and Micah and Bryson. But yeah, that's kind of how I think we came on your radar, because you were a fan of Erie, and it's just really cool how we just kind of make all these connections all around the world.
Yeah, it was Erie for a long time. I remember when I found out about Erie because I'm a diehard wrestling fan, which is why I think Buzi and I hit it off on Twitter and all of that. But I'm a diehard wrestling fan. Erie is on a podcast network that's primarily for a wrestling show, and within the first 2 or 3 weeks of listening to Erie, they were talking about their little brothers, the Terror Table, and I listened to your episode. I think it was you guys, unless Erie did it. One of you guys did an episode on that John Boyega film, the alien horror one. I forget what it was called.
Attack the Block.
Attack the Block, and that, I think that was you guys. That was my first episode of the Terror Table.
Damn! So you've been around since the Diego days.
Yeah, that was a Diego pick.
Yeah,
shout out Diego.
Well, it's funny when I was like thinking about, because I didn't come up with the top 10 list. There's just too many movies to figure out, and I never watch anything when it comes out. But I was like, oh, maybe I'll fill the Diego role because I watch anime and play video games, and I don't think you guys have talked about video games since Diego left.
Yeah, I would. Well, it's been very few and far between. Like I just play the big blockbuster games like Last of Us and stuff like that. Those are the ones that I really talk about on the show. But yeah, I'd love to hear that. But before you start telling us about all that kind of fun stuff, you're going to be promoting the release of, is it going to be an EP?
So it's actually only 2 songs.
Okay.
So I have something coming out. This is going to come out next week. So this is something coming out in a couple days, or today even. I don't know when the episode drops. We
can plan it around that.
Okay, whenever it comes out. But I'm dropping 2 songs. One is called Jawbreaker, and the other one is called Strawberry Wings. It was supposed to be on a split with a bunch of old bandmates of mine, but because of logistics, it never came out. So I'm just going to put it out myself. Cool. But it's the first 2 full band Knifethroat tracks. I've told Mitch before, and I'm sure Buzi has seen it. I've been in bands forever. I'm 28, and I've been playing in bands since I was like 14. And this is the newest project of mine. It's called Knifethroat. It started as like an acoustic demo that I recorded in my girlfriend's brother's bedroom during the pandemic, just so I could do something to keep me busy during the pandemic and get my thoughts out there. And then these 2 tracks that I recorded or that are coming out were actually totally done remotely. So it's 2 tracks that I did the acoustic guitar and the vocals for, and then the bass, the trombone, the backing vocals, and the drums were all recorded all over the state of New Jersey and New York from different people in different bands that I'm friends with to help me put out a full band track.
That's awesome, man.
So it's a New York collab, is what you're saying.
New York, New Jersey, tri-state area collab, yeah.
Hell yeah. Right. And it's kind of like folk punk type kind of vibe. I listened to the songs, by the way. I know I'm so bad at getting back to you, but yeah, I did listen to the songs and they sounded fucking wicked. So we'll let you'll be able to choose which one you want us to play at the end of this episode. And we're going to be doing a little soft premiere.
Ooh, I'm very excited.
A little half-chub premiere.
Yeah. Yeah, it's folk punk, pop punk. So literally the funny thing that I get made fun of for everybody is no matter how hard I try, everything I put out is just a pop punk song. I grew up listening to like 4 Year Strong, Blink-182, The Wonder Years, all those types of bands, and I was obsessed with them in high school and then college and throughout that. So no matter what type of music I try to write, even with the fact that I'm using an acoustic guitar now it just sounds like pop punk.
Oh yeah.
So
and it's in the lyrical sensibilities too. That's
oh yeah, forget it. I could write one style of lyrics.
Oh man, I grew up with the same kind of stuff. Obviously,
you should write more lyrics about teaching.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, don't talk about teaching. Isn't that weird?
See, there's like no subcategory of teaching music. You could be teacher core.
Oh, that's a good idea. That could be like my gimmick.
Instead of like easy core, you just do like your own like teacher core.
Yeah, I mean the two songs that I'm putting out are definitely two of my more random ones lyrically. Jawbreaker is all about TMJ, which I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's like when you grind your teeth when you sleep.
Okay.
Yeah, there was literally my TMJ got so bad during the pandemic. There was like a 2-week period where I couldn't speak because my jaw just wasn't working. So driving to and from my girlfriend's house, barely able to talk. I wrote all the lyrics about it in my car. So I was like, I could write a song about this and how talking doesn't matter because nobody wants to hear it. And then the other song, Strawberry Wings, this is where I get a little Diego on both of you, is there's a video game called Celeste that came out a handful of years ago. And it was like my go-to thing during the pandemic. I downloaded it. It was super addictive. I played it for like literally 2 weeks straight. So I wrote a song about it.
Hell yeah. That's awesome, man.
Write what you know.
Yeah.
Like teaching.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's like, Blink-182 still writing songs about the prom. Like it'd be a lot more interesting if Mark Hoppus was writing songs about, dad life or.
Yeah, Mark, quit going to the prom.
It's time for you guys to stop going to the prom.
It'd be weird if your dad showed up at the prom.
Would he be dropping you off or would he be like in the prom taking photos?
He'd be in the prom king photos for sure. And he'd have his tongue out on a 15-year-old probably.
They'd be like, Dad, why are you dressed up? It's like, oh, it just happened to be dressed up for this occasion.
He's always wearing like nothing at all or a suit.
It could be both. It could be just like
the suit
jacket,
dress
shirt, that's even better.
Yeah, that's totally Travis Barker. Well, awesome, man. Yeah, no, we'll be playing one of those songs at the very end, but let's get talking horror movies. Let's get this discussion going. So I know the three of us all had a chance to see the latest installment in the Scream franchise, but do you guys want to kick off with that as a group review and then kind of go around doing a bunch of shit, or how do you guys want to do this? Say, you want to do that first?
Yeah, we can do that.
All right, so I guess I will let our guest of honor go first, but yeah, everyone, especially if you're listening to this podcast, like a horror movie podcast, you're well aware that there's a new Scream film out, and it was directed by the Radio Silence guys. I believe they're not going by Radio Silence for this movie, but they had previously done Ready or Not, which was a really solid slasher film. But it's Matt Bettinelli, Olpen, and Tyler Gillett. And then it was written by, I don't know why I screwed this up, James Vanderbilt, who's the homie who, like, he was a writer and a producer on Zodiac, which is crazy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, like, very cool.
Very, very good writer. And Guy Busick, and obviously the characters created by Kevin Williamson. So it's a tale as old as time. It's a Scream movie. Elio, what are your thoughts?
So I have to say, you two dragged me into a movie theater for the first time since the pandemic happened. So this is like my first traditional movie experience in like 2.5 years.
Wow.
To go see Scream, which I mean, it's good because I should have seen it anyway.
Yeah, you risked your life for Scream.
Worth it.
I would do it again. That's my review for it. I would definitely risk my life again to see Scream.
So you loved it.
I loved it. It was fun. I mean, Scream's one of my favorite franchises. The first one is by far one of the most pivotal horror movies for me. I was born in 93 and it came out in
96.
96. So I was like 3 years old when it came out. But I had an older cousin who used to play it in his living room all the time. And I would only catch clips and glimpses. And he used to chase me around with a ghost face mask. So it was terrifying, and I was terrified of it, but it was always a part of my life. And I love the franchise. It has its ups and downs. I definitely think it has its weaker moments. And I did like this one. I thought, and this might just be me, I'm curious what you two think. It was a little too meta for my taste. Only one scene in particular left a bad taste in my mouth. I don't know if we're gonna do.
You can't do any spoilers. Like
Okay.
I was surprised because when I had initially told you that Boozy and I will have seen it, so we're going to be talking, and you're like, I can't go to the movie theater, and I wasn't like, go to the movie theater, man. So I want to get that out. I guess you decided to go on your own, but I wasn't like, you got to see it before this next episode. Risk your life.
So Mitch bullied me to go to the
Yes.
movies. Now there's only one scene that was a little too meta for me. That was a little too on the nose, where I was like, okay, is this for the general audience who's going to watch this, or like do you only have to really be into horror movies to appreciate it? Which is like, I get it,
Yeah,
because Scream's a horror franchise and it's for people that really appreciate horror movies. But one of my favorite parts about Scream is that it's a horror movie, and this counts for all four of them, that you can show to non-horror fans and they can appreciate it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. I think so. Particularly the first one, I think, because like you had said, like Scream was my real gateway into horror and everything. Exact same story that you have. My cousins would watch it, and I got into it, but it was the one that introduced me to titles like Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street and all that kind of stuff. So it was massive for me. But I was also like 7 years old when I saw it. So it's weird that it's like, I still feel like that's a good gateway movie because they will talk about a lot of horror movies. I think I see where you're coming from, but we'll have to talk after we end the recording. So I want to hear what part you're talking about, because I definitely want to do no spoilers here, because there's a lot of people who are in places like you're at, and there are places that are, riddled with COVID right now, and it's just not worth it to risk going out. So I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. So yeah, we'll talk after the mic wraps up.
Perfect, because I'm very curious about your two's opinion on it.
Yeah. Boozy, thoughts?
I'm just gonna guess that the scene Elio's talking about is where they dig up Wes Craven's body and they show him the entire movie, and they're just like, look what we did for you. And and they just wait for a response, but obviously he's dead, so he doesn't, anyway, I really liked this one. I think it was a lot of fun. I will agree with Elio, there is, and I know it's supposed to be because it's a Scream franchise, but I feel like they got really heavy-handed with it, in a way that kind of takes me out of it. But I really enjoyed it. I think that the reveal was awesome. I think the whole ending itself was a lot of fun, and taking it back to kind of the roots of the franchise. So I don't know, it's just kind of watching that franchise, and I know we always say that about Halloween, how it's like, how can they do more to this, that's what I was wondering going into this, is like, how much more can you get out of that franchise? Not because it's not a cool idea that like it's always somebody different, but it's just like, how many more people from the original can you extend to try and have people get murdered? It's like, this is so and so's third cousin who decided that they're going to be the fourth Ghostface now.
Oh, spoiler.
Yeah, but like I think it was great. I think the twist was, I don't know, as it was happening, I think this might be the scene Elio's talking about, is as this twist is happening, you're like, why are you doing that? Yeah. So anyway, that's how I felt.
Yeah. And I think so. I already had mentioned Scream is a foundational movie for me, and this franchise, I love the franchise. I went back and revisited all of them, as I always do, when at least yearly and whatnot. And I made it very clear on this podcast, I'm not a fan of 4, and I know, Elio, you're a fan of 4 as well. I just will report before I even start talking about this one, I've really come around on 4 in a lot of ways. I still think it is my second least favorite, but the thing is, I like all these movies. Like, Scream 3 to me is the worst one, like easy, and I still like Scream 3.
What did you find in 4 this time that really did it for you? Did anything?
I think it's guilty, like how you guys are talking about all this, like how it's Scream 5 was a little too meta. I feel that way about 4, and I still feel that way. I thought the reveal was fucking dumb as hell in 4, but the thing is, they're kind of silly in all of them. Like, I love Scream 2, and like that movie has one of the most bizarre reveals, because you have to imagine Billy Loomis's mom running around in a Ghostface mask slaughtering people, and it's kind of goofy, but at the same time, it's like, that's clearly an ode to Friday the 13th, and that's kind of part of how, like, I like that goofy wackiness of that one. And I do feel like they just progressively were getting a little goofier each time, but I think that's just what this franchise is. Like, the first one is a perfect movie to me. Like, it's flawless. I love that film. And I fucking loved Scream 5. I think it's one of those things where I got a little bit of a bias towards it because of how much I love the original, and I give it a pass on a lot of things that normally I would probably be picky about. Like, I think that this franchise, like you guys both said, like I can understand why it being so overly meta was like a little too much for you, but I didn't feel that way at all, just because it's kind of what I've come to expect from this franchise. And I think it's also, since they're talking about a lot more current movies that we are really well versed in, especially as a horror podcast, or like, dedicate so much time to watching and consuming all these new movies. It's gonna automatically just feel a little jarring when you're hearing them talk about the Babadook and Hereditary and stuff like that. But I loved all this movie. If I had any real complaints, it's that they got rid of some of the more interesting characters a little too quick, I thought. There's a couple that, but at the same time, that's what made their kills hurt. I think Ghostface was more savage than ever in this movie.
He really went for the like upper, like the face and the neck this time. He was less interested in your guts.
I cried in this movie, and I was not expecting that. Like, I was tearing up hard, and I don't even know if people would know what part it's at, just because it's like, this is very much the Force Awakens of Scream movies. It is, and they reference that multiple times. They do the whole requel thing, and I can understand how that formula could get really boring for some people, because it's like all we've been getting recently is movies like The Force Awakens, or like what's it called? They're just bringing back all the older characters and being like, we're gonna, like, this movie's the exact same movie as Scream 1. Like it follows pretty much the exact same formula. So normally that would be something that would kind of irk me, but to me, it's like, this is like, I like this so much. I'm so happy that I like this. I was hesitant because of how I feel about the later Halloween movies, like 2018 and Kills. Like I don't hate them by any means, but I just didn't love them the way that I wanted to. Like, this movie fucking nailed it for me. Like, I just had such a fun time with it. I thought it was really funny when it was meant to be, and it was really heartbreaking when it was meant to be. And it was nice. It's just always nice seeing the gang on screen again. And it's one that I think I've been just dying to see it again. I want to go see it again, but it's just not super easy to go to movies here. So I'm like kind of waiting for it to get released or go to streaming or something like that, because I can't wait to watch this one again. But I think as of right now, I still say Scream 1 and 2 are my favorites, and this one's right up next. But I think it might surpass 2 on another watch. I just fucking loved it. And all the way, I don't know if that was a dig on like all the Wes Craven love, but I loved all of that, because like that man, him and Kevin Williamson, there's so many nods to what those two created with that original film, and how it still has legs. I like how they're not retconning any of the other movies. They're acknowledging them, and they're carrying on from it. It doesn't do absolutely anything new, but fuck, I loved it.
Do we agree that still hot?
Just got to now, carrying on from a moment that I cut just to be safe out of spoilers. So I'm just going to make reference to it, but there is something in this movie that I think in any other franchise, I'd be like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, this is ridiculous. But it worked really well for me. I thought it was really funny, and a nice nod to the Ridge and some of the characters that we don't get to see all the time anymore. But yeah, great movie. I loved it. And shout out pop punk music being back in teen horror movies. There's Alkaline Trio, Salem's at the end. Like,
that Salem track made me jump. I was so pumped when I heard that.
Yeah, at first I was like, because it's the same singer as Creeper, so I was like, is that Creeper? No, it's Salem. And yeah, I love both those bands. I love those bands. And yeah, it was really heartwarming for a Scream movie.
I think this one did a really good job, because by the tail end of the movie, I was really invested in the new cast.
Yeah.
And wanted more from them. Like, I was so happy that the old guard was there, that a bunch of old characters were there. But part of me was like, okay, like, go to the side. I want to see these new people. I want to see what they've got going on. I think they did a good job of making you care about them with the new cast, where it wasn't like, oh, here's some generic archetypes that are going to get slashed, and you're just looking forward to that.
Yeah. And I think that's actually, so you had asked Buzi, like, what made me like Scream 4 more this time around. I think that's one thing I appreciated more is the characters. There's some really solid characters in Scream 4. Like, Rory Culkin's great in it. Yeah, I don't know, I'm just not an Emma Roberts fan, so that's an immediate kind of stain for me just because the movie revolves around her.
I stand behind Kirby, what's her name? Hayden Panettiere.
Oh,
in
yeah.
that movie.
Yeah, she's great.
I think she's solid.
Yeah, there's some really solid twists and turns in that one. I think it also like that movie just kind of annoys me sometimes because the energy is so fucking rank. Like it's different than the other movies. Like to me, it's louder and more obnoxious. And I think that's kind of what I don't like about it. But at the same time, it was for a different generation. It just didn't connect with me on first watch, but I definitely enjoyed it more this time around. So yeah, it sounds like 3 positive reviews for Scream 5.
Yeah, I think that's definitely several positive reviews. Also, can we comment on how sexy Dylan Minnette is?
Are you a Dylan Minnette boy?
Which one's?
Oh,
he's Machine Gun Kelly in this one.
He's like the most attractive.
He's got the blonde hair.
Yep, the blonde hair. He's got weird eyes. I don't know. I don't trust him.
Yeah.
I just have to say they did him dirty with that hair. I don't know what the fuck they were trying to do on that one.
Machine Gun Kelly.
Yeah, it's the reference to, and also I'm 31 and I did it this year. So I can't.
But it was like dirty blonde. It was just like this weird dirty blonde thing up here. It wasn't even like fully committed. You at least committed to it.
He was the alt boy.
Yeah. He totally was the alt boy. And speaking of also, Kyle Gallner is a guy who I've really come around on. He's the kid from Haunting in Connecticut, and he plays like when the trailers first came out. I don't even want to speculate because I don't want to ruin anything for anyone. But I thought when I saw him in the trailer, I was like, oh, he's for sure this person's son, like someone for a legacy character. He's like really greasy, and you know who I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I fucking love that guy now. But yeah, I just thought it was great. Can't wait to see it again. And I'm sure I'm going to think of something later that I should have said, but let's move on. Let's start talking about some other flicks. Elio, you want to hit us up with a game or movie or anything like that?
Yeah, like I said, I watch horror movies very randomly and all over the place. So like I never really try to jump to what's coming out in 2021, 2020, 2022, whenever the years are out. But I did just recently watch CENSOR. And I watched it not only because it was on all of your lists, or I know it was on Kyle's.
It was
list,
on Kyle, and on honorable mention for me.
Yep, and I loved it. I thought it was really good. Really good performances that were like really haunting. And the last like 10 minutes in particular had me on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Where I could not, like, once I realized what was happening and it kind of hit me, I was like, oh, I get what's going on. This is sick. So like that was really good. And CENSOR really had a good place in my heart. So I enjoyed that watch. I watched a Shudder original or Shudder exclusive, whatever they call them, For the Sake of Vicious.
Okay.
That just came out on Shudder.
I have not seen that one.
It came out maybe 2 weeks ago on Shudder, and I think it's Canadian. So good for you boys. But
we'll take credit for that. Yeah, sure.
If it's any sense on how Mitch's movie is going to be, it's going to be a good thing. Canadians put out quality films.
Hell yeah.
So this one is a twist on a home invasion movie. I don't want to go. I don't want to go too much into it.
Looks great.
Think of The Strangers mixed with The Raid.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch this tonight. I can't believe I haven't opened up my Shudder app in like a couple of weeks, obviously. So yeah,
you need to be watching the Boulets.
Yeah,
actually, since both of you have Shudder, get on the Boulet Brothers season 4. That's some good
I saw the first
right
couple episodes of it on YouTube, but like no, this For the Sake of Vicious, like the poster's rad. I love the synopsis. Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, it's nothing revolutionary, nothing crazy, but it's got a good aesthetic. It's got a good twist to it. And like once shit gets going, like especially around like the 35-40 minute mark, it doesn't slow down until the end.
Awesome.
Which was cool. So that was really cool. I'm rewatching Scream with my girlfriend, which is a fun way to look at it.
Has she seen Scream before?
No, she hates horror movies.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. She's gonna love the whole series.
She hates most movies. She is not a movie person, which is fun because whenever I find a movie she's into, I feel accomplished.
Yes.
But we watched the original Scream at a Halloween party that I had this year, and she was into it. She thought it was good, and I was like, all right, check out Scream 2. So it was my second rewatch of Scream 2. Or not my second rewatch, it's like my 10th rewatch of Scream 2. But what I found funny, because it was her first time watching it, is she forgot all about the second killer at the end of the movie. So I forget his name, but you know how it's like Billy Loomis'
Yeah, and
mom,
Timothy
and then-
Oliphant.
and Timothy Oliphant. She forgot he was a character.
Oh yeah.
So like he pulled off his mask and he's like, "Oh, it's me." She was like, "Wait, who is this guy?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Wait, you don't remember?"
Oh man, I have that same complaint for another Scream movie.
Ooh, I'm excited to talk to you possibly off air about
Yeah.
that because I might have similar conversations
Yeah.
to have with you.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's so that's awesome though. Did she she liked Scream 1?
She liked Scream 1, admitted that it was a good movie, which she was terrified to tell me because she didn't want it to go to my head.
Yeah.
But she definitely enjoyed Scream 1, and she liked Scream 2 also. It, like I said, it's meta enough where like for her, she was cracking up over the fact that the movie started and she was like, "Is that Jada Pinkett Smith?" And I'm like,
Yes.
"Yeah, I get it." Because like in the first one,
Yeah.
they have Drew Barrymore and she's huge. And she goes, "Okay, I get it." And then she actually was cracking up at the stab clips.
Oh,
throughout the
they're
movie.
so funny. Like with Luke Wilson doing like dummy. Like you're not
So,
gonna-
yeah, that's what cracked both of
Oh,
us
it's
up. We were
so
like
good.
hysterically laughing.
Yeah.
So it was definitely good, and I'm gonna probably show her 3 this week, and then 4, and we'll see how we go. But
You know what? The one thing I didn't mention when we were talking about Scream before, though, is like there's so many things that the original has that none of the sequels do. And keep in mind, I enjoy all the sequels, but the one major thing that the other sequels are missing is the raw sexual energy between Billy and Sydney. Like those scenes are so fucking horny. Every time I watch it, I forget. I'm like, God damn! Like it is. Those scenes are so horny. You know what I mean?
I know what you're saying. I thought you were gonna say Billy and Stu, and I was like, hell yeah, that's what we
though.
need.
Yeah. I love that new theory that, well, I guess it's not new, but there's the theory that they were lovers.
Yeah, and now all the cast members are like, yeah, that would make sense. They
Yeah,
could do
makes
that.
total sense.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what else I've been into recently.
Also,
this year,
shout out the Creed poster in Sydney's room in Scream 3. Fake Sydney's room. Because they're on the movie
There's a
set of
Creed
Stab.
poster?
They're on the movie set of Stab 3. And in Sydney's set room, so not real Sydney, there's a Creed poster. The movie also opens with Creed. So that alone.
Which song?
Oh God, I can't even remember. I only know.
Is
the
it
hits,
like a
man.
deep cut or is it like
It
one
was
of the
something
big
off
ones?
Human Clay.
I like that you
Arms wide
can
open?
say that, but you can't tell me which song.
Yo, did
off
you
of their
see
seminal
Scott Stapp
effort.
is headlining a day at a festival?
What?
Scott Stapp, like I posted it on Instagram today, but there's like this like new rock festival. It's like, you know, everyone's getting all hyped for When We Were Young Fest, admittedly, like rightfully so. It looks like a fucking banger time. But Honeymoon Rock Fest. It's Puddle of Mud, Fuel, Eve 6,
I was
Weedus.
about to say, is the Puddle of Mud guy gonna be there?
Now keep this up. Next, so that's Friday. Saturday, Scott Stapp, Saliva, Power Man 5000. Sunday, Sugar Ray, Everclear, and I don't even know the other ones, thank God. But yeah,
Didn't the Puddle of Mud guy kill someone? Isn't that something that happened?
I assume so. Man, there's so many clips of him just being a psycho online.
his Nirvana cover is like one of the greatest things in the world.
Okay, I know I don't want to like spend a ton of time mentioning it, but I just have to quickly because nobody's mentioned it at all that We Were Young or whatever that festival. How did Kitty get on that lineup?
I didn't even
Like
see his
way
name
at
on
the
that.
bottom, Kitty is there.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. There's so many.
I think Smash Mouth is also on that.
Well, like
flyer.
Smash Mouth I
No.
get, but like bottom right, Kitty is there because I was looking and gonna be a downer and be like, I only would go for Glassjaw and Kitty. Fuck you guys.
So let's make our bets now. Is the festival going to happen? Yes or no?
No.
No.
Yeah, it's not happening. No way.
Also, logistically, it's only one day. How many
Oh,
bands?
God,
How long could you play? Like it would be like
It's-
2 songs and then you're
There's
done?
there's 3 stages. That's what's making me think it's not going to end up being great, because it's going to be
You're
like
gonna miss
Warped Tour,
something.
where
Yeah,
you're going to
you're
miss
gonna-
like they'll be like fucking MCR will be playing at the same time as fucking Avril Lavigne, someone else you want to see. Also, shout out new Avril Lavigne tracks because they're sick.
Yeah, they're good. Travis Barker produced all of them.
Yep.
That's why they rock.
Oh man, there's so many I didn't even notice that were on here. Like Nessa Barrett, I actually like her. Atreyu is in like smallest font.
Yeah.
The main reason I want to go is Armor for Sleep. Like to me they're
Yeah, I
like,
can't believe they're on that.
yeah, they're the goat emo band that like they're the unsung heroes of the emo generation.
They played at my college.
Are you
once.
serious?
Really?
I've never seen them, and that I truthfully think that their one album is like the best emo album ever made.
Also, looking at
They
that
were-
bill, how the fuck did Chiodos not get on there?
I don't think they're a band because Craig Owens is doing drugs now.
Yeah,
not like he's doing drugs.
I thought drugs was done.
I forgot drugs was a band. Craig Owens is doing drugs now. Like, spoiler alert, man, everyone on this bill is doing drugs.
He never stopped.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think he ever stopped.
The starting line, fuck. Boys Like Girls, shout out to a band that should have never existed.
That guy sucks. That guy's a douche.
Right, I think I've heard, isn't he's a creeper. Of course he's a creeper. He's in Boys Like Girls.
Wasn't the one dude from Wonder Years recently canceled?
No, Day to Remember.
A Day to Remember.
A Day to Remember got canceled?
No, just the bass player.
The bass player actually killed somebody.
Did he?
Like with a vehicle or like physically?
No, like a vehicle.
Oh, okay. Like I don't
Matthew
consider that
Broderick
the same.
style.
Like, yeah, it's not just like I could go kill someone right now.
Well, don't do that. We need you for the podcast.
Exactly.
Get Tanner, go kill somebody.
But I have a list of names. If you're ever getting the urge, I can help you come up with a list.
Send me that list, and if they're ever walking across the street and I'm slowing down for like a red, I'll just be like, oh frick.
I'm picturing you with that list that I give you and being like Steve Buscemi and Billy Madison and like putting lipstick on and crossing names off. Okay, where were we? I'm sorry.
I don't know.
Oh, we're talking about movies, I think.
Creed, Scream 3. And this all came from Scream 3 and Sydney having a Creed poster in her room. It was like automatically loses points. Sydney would never listen to Creed. She only listens to what's his name? Fucking Nick Cave.
Nick Cannon.
Nick Cave.
Nick Cave in the bad seats. All right. Yeah, good luck on your Scream journey though. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, that should be a hoot. And I think that's basically it for now.
I watched video games.
Yeah,
video games. Okay, so this year. Oh, actually, no, I do have something to talk about video game wise that I was thinking about all weekend. Do you fellas ever play Borderlands?
Fuck yeah.
So Borderlands, very popular shooter, and the main games are fine, but their DLC contents are always out of this world and always really crazy. Yeah. So I'm playing through Borderlands 3 with a friend right now, and they have a whole DLC called like Love, Guns, and Tentacles, which is a Cthulhu-themed DLC.
Cool.
Which has been totally fun to play through. It's a wedding story about two of the characters getting married, but that's kind of in the background. But like all the enemies you're shooting are like tentacle monsters and Cthulhu monsters with druids and all that kind of craziness. Your guns shoot tentacles and tentacles and like ridiculous. So it's like, and it's all Lovecraftian. Like you fight a fish god at one point, you summon a fish god.
Is there a rat god?
Hail Ratma.
There is a rat god. There's a Wendigo.
Rat man.
Hail rat god.
Hail Ratma. That's all I've been thinking all week.
Hell yeah. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I played Borderlands 3 like a motherfucker. Played that game a ton, but I haven't picked it up in a while. But I never got to the DLCs. I've always heard that they're great. But that's the thing about Borderlands, is it's so visually appealing, but it's the guns that are so fun.
Yeah, it's a perfect podcast game for me because who cares about the music. Yeah. So I'll just put like a podcast on and burn through it. I think that's how I burned through your guys' top 10 episode.
Oh, damn. That's how I usually play like Alan Awake or Last of Us or Detroit.
Ellie, I was gonna ask, have you played, because you play video games a little bit more, have you played the new Aliens game, Fireteam?
No, I haven't. What do you think of it?
I have not got it either, actually.
I got it.
I've kind of been like waiting till it's like real cheap.
If you got a baller ass PC like I do, you can get it on Game Pass right now. Which is great. But I spent like $60 on it. I think it's really fun, but I haven't gone back to it a bunch. I've been too balls deep in Halo Infinity. I don't know. There's a new Halo and I've been playing that. It's fucking awesome.
Can I ask you guys a generic horror question?
I love it.
Now I'm on the podcast that I could talk to you.
This is your time to shine.
Yes.
So what do you prefer in terms of horror movies with aliens? Do you prefer the original Alien where it's like a one creature versus all of them hunting them down, or Aliens where it's multiple creatures and it's like a shooter movie?
That's the hardest question.
Yeah, because I love them both.
They're both very good.
But
I feel like as I've aged, Alien is
like Alien's the best. Like Ridley Scott's Alien is my favorite.
Because
but then I love like Attack the Block, you know.
Yeah, because if you guys ever have time and it's cheap now, Alien Isolation's a really good game.
I got to that game like 7 days later, or 7 years later. Remember,
that game.
I reviewed it on the podcast, and Diego was like, "The game came out like 7 years ago."
They've like remastered it like 4 times.
Yeah.
Isn't there like a cell phone version of it too now?
There should be.
I'm pretty sure there's a cellular version.
Yeah, Alien Isolation's fucking awesome. But like, that's for me. Fireteam is just like Fireteam's the perfect podcast game. I was joking about playing those games where you have to focus on what's happening, like Alan Awake and like The Last of Us and Detroit. Obviously, you don't listen to podcasts during those games, but when you're just running around shooting shit, Fireteam is great.
Mm-hmm.
But awesome. So what was that called again? Borderlands what?
It's called something like Love, Guns, and Tentacles.
Oh, okay.
Elio,
Cool.
you have to answer your own question. You asked us.
Yeah.
So it depends on the mood.
Boo, that's a boo answer. Then you're just
Mhm.
Well,
that's
okay.
sitting.
That's
all
like
it
being
is.
the guy who it's like, what kind of music you like? I kind of like
I like
everything.
everything.
All right, I'll jump then. If I had to sit down right now and pick
But
one, Alien or Aliens,
Yeah.
Aliens,
Really?
Aliens.
Okay.
Mhm.
Explain.
That's a more fun. I am more. So first off, my favorite horror movie of all time is Tremors.
Yes.
So I am more of a fun horror movie guy than I am of like, let me feel horrible while watching this.
Okay, that makes total sense. I feel like Aliens is a lot more of the like accessible one of, not that Alien isn't accessible, but it's like this one's got like cool military one-liners and guns and shooting and not enough sex, unfortunately.
Yeah. I love them both, but like I truly love them both. But as a kid, it was like Aliens all day, because it was just it's crazy and fun and wild. But like now Alien truly scares me, and I've seen it 100 times.
Do you want to hear my truest horror, like embarrassing reveal that's going to make Mitch freak out?
Oh no.
Yes.
I never finished Hereditary.
See, that doesn't even make me want to freak out. It's just that's a tough movie.
You just didn't want to have a bad time. You wanted to have fun.
So first off, I cannot be on a horror podcast and not talk about my mom, because my mom is one of the people that got me into horror, and we go see horror movies together.
Shout out your mom.
Together. Shout out my mom, Big K. We saw the Witch together, Krampus, all those movies. But she's a slasher person through and through. So we started Hereditary, got to Toni Collette screaming, and we're just like, let's turn this off. I'm done with this.
That's also an uncomfortable mother-son movie.
Yes, absolutely.
Maybe not the best choice.
But as you know, Mitch, as a fellow child of divorce,
Yes.
we got
Shout out divorce.
parents. Yep, parents got weird ways to connect with their kids.
Absolutely. My dad's was always just to like punch me. No, I'm not. I'm gonna stop doing the dad things because he's been threatening to listen. Cool. Well, yeah. So obviously, Hereditary it's a tough movie. So, but cool. Buzi, do you want to knock one off?
Sure. I checked out. I was actually going to mention this last episode, but we ended up just running really long, so I thought I'd just tack it on here. Is I watched a couple movies from 2021 that didn't make my list, and one of them is The Deep House. I ended up checking that out. Julian Mari and Alexander Bastila directed this.
Yeah, which I didn't mention on the episode where I reviewed this, that those are the guys who did Inside.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, they're the French duo behind Inside, and they also last year they also did Kandisha, which I was meaning to put on my honorable mention, because like that's a Shudder movie with like the most horrendous cover photo. Like it's like, who would ever want to touch this?
Right.
But I'd heard some good things about it, and I checked it out, and it's actually fucking really good. It's if you like Candyman, Kandisha, but sorry,
Kandisha Man. I thought this movie is, I really agree with what you had said before, that this is kind of, it's, how would I put it? It's a revelation that it got made, but overall the story itself is fairly not interesting. It's just kind of cool to be like, oh, where are they going to go? I was more interested in just where they were going to go in the house and what it looked like over anything that was actually happening to the characters. They did some cool stuff, like they had a little underwater drone, so that made for some good like horror stuff. I found that they could have done so much more in an underwater house to be scary than what they did, but that's honestly why I didn't make my list. Still very cool. I think people should just check it out for the fact that they made this whole movie underwater.
Yeah, it is fucking impressive as hell looking at that thing and wondering, it's like, how did you guys do this? Like,
yeah, and there's so much stuff to do within it, but yeah, it's fairly pedestrian in terms of being scary or anything.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
I got a couple quick ones. I'll pass it back to you, Big L. Mind if I call you Big L? You refer to
That's
yourself
fair.
as Big L.
Big L, Papa L, whatever you gotta
Big
Papa
go.
L is
L
good,
and
too.
Big K.
Yeah, Big L and Big
Yeah.
K. I just want to, I'm not going to talk too long about it because it seems like rightfully so, it's a show that everybody's talking about right now, is YELLOWJACKETS. And I started watching it. Have you seen any of this, Elio?
I have not yet. I thought you were going to mention another show on Netflix that I have to mention after
Oh,
you're
right. I
done.
haven't started that either, and I know which one you're talking
Because
about.
I started that and that's good, but I've had like 6 people tell me about YELLOWJACKETS. So
What
go ahead,
is
I'm excited to
YELLOWJACKETS?
hear.
YELLOWJACKETS is set around a high school soccer, an all-girls soccer team they're going on a trip to a tournament or to play, and they end up crashing into a forest from the plane. And it takes a real Lord of the Flies type scenario, or story type route. And this show is as good as everybody's saying it is. Like it is so good. And Buzi, you will love this show. It's actually a really good pair up with, like, I've been in the mood for, I watched all the Scream movies again. I'm also going to talk about another post-Scream slasher that I checked out that I haven't seen since it came out. And YELLOWJACKETS kind of fits super well in that, but it's really, really well acted. It's gnarly. Like the violence is brutal, and all the characters are just so interesting and fun to watch. And apparently, like, the show's a hit, so there's going to be like 5 seasons that they have planned, I guess. Some people are comparing it to Lost. I've never actually got into Lost, so I don't know. That's just what I've heard. But it is like, it's wild. So I highly, highly recommend it.
I mean, assuming people just compare it to Lost because it's a bunch of people on a
That's
island.
exactly, and it's same. And there's more to the Lord of the Flies comparison. Like, it's one of those things where, it jumps back from, like, it'll go to the event when this happened, and then now some of the characters as they're older, so they clearly survived, and they're like trying to live normal lives. And there's some really
That's
solid
kind of an
actors.
interesting take on that.
Oh
actually.
yeah, and it's one of those things, like, they don't, like, I'm pretty sure it's within the first 5 minutes of the show they even kind of touch on it. Like, it's widely assumed that some of those girls ate each other. Like, it's wild. And yeah, it's great. So I'm just starting episode 4 tonight. So yeah, highly recommend that. We have it on Crave in Canada, and I don't know what you Americans have it on.
Showtime.
Oh, like just I guess the TV channel.
Yeah, it's weird. Showtime has its own app. Mainly I'm going to be using it to watch Dexter and YELLOWJACKETS.
And
Yeah.
Red Shoe Diaries.
And Californication. Yes, Red Shoe Diaries. Big shout out. That was always just after midnight. Do you know what that is, Elio?
I have no idea. I've never heard that in my life.
It was
Really?
Yeah, it's like where you chafe your wiener on your sheets.
It was like the earliest form of, like, it was like that softcore where, like, they would show a little bit of butt and that was about it. And yeah, it would come out really late on Showtime.
But it'd get
So
every
like,
10-year-old horned up.
That was like pre-porn
Okay.
porn.
Yeah. It was like
That's like, what is that? Real Sex on HBO? That was like a show that would show like buttholes, but not much else.
Yeah, see-
Yeah. It was like the fringes of trying to jerk off.
Red Shoe Diaries is like, I can't, I'm not going to assume Big K was one of them, but a lot of moms always had like those erotic, like, fantasy novels that they would keep by their bed
With the
like,
long-haired
mhm.
dude wearing
Yeah.
a horse.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like that, but a Showtime show.
There you go.
Yeah, so
And if you have the app, I'm sure it's on there.
yeah, Trailer Park Boys was Showtime as well, or Showcase. Oh wait, no, we're thinking Showcase, Buzi.
Are you sure? I felt like this was the same thing.
No, Showtime is Californication.
Oh,
And,
okay, never mind then. No wonder he hasn't seen Red Shoe Diaries.
Yeah, shout
Yeah.
out Showcase though. Cool. Yeah. So who wants to go?
Elio, do you have more to talk about?
I got 2 more things I want to mention.
Do it.
One I told myself that I had to mention if I was ever on this show. I don't know if it came out in 2019 or 2020, but it's on Hulu. Hunter x Hunter.
Yes.
Not the anime.
Yeah.
Don't think it's the anime because I've suggested it to people and they're like, Elio, I know you like anime, but why are you showing me this? It's got Devin Sawa in it.
And Nick Stahl.
And absolutely brutal fucking movie.
Yeah.
I like, you guys particularly got me into like Blue Ruin and like those kinds of movies, and
Yeah.
I feel like this fits along with that sense where it is slow, it is plotting, it is just brutal the entire way through, and it crescendos really well at the end. And that ending alone made me love watching that movie, so I had to recommend.
I just got chills down my spine thinking about that ending again. Like, it is.
I just
fucking
remember there's one scene in there where it's just somebody walking back. I believe it's the woman walking back to the house, and you think she's being followed. And I was like, this is such an intense scene, and not a lot's really happening.
No, it's a great movie.
So that's really good. And then Mitch, you got to remind me of the name of the show, because I know 81 is on at the end of it. But what is it on Netflix right now?
Archive 81.
Archive 81. I kept on wanting to say Aisle 81, but this is Archive 81. It's based on a podcast with the same name. I never listened to the podcast, but the premise is a guy who restores old footage and like old media as a job for preservation is hired to archive and like look through a bunch of burnt videotapes of a mysterious fire. And I don't want to get into it too much because there's a lot of twists and stuff, but there's a lot of cult stuff. There's a lot of like messed up delusions of like what's real, what's not real, what's going on. And I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm like 2 episodes in, and I don't think it's very long, but there's like one scene, particularly at the end of episode 2, that like I was watching it at like 9:30 at night last night, like maybe 45 minutes before I went to bed, and I had to like calm myself down afterwards because it was so creepy.
Yes,
but
I've heard such good things about the show, and it's got some like amazing people behind it, like Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead direct.
Aaron Moorhead,
yeah, they direct a couple episodes, and there's what's her name, Rebecca Thomas. Oh, she's done some, like she did Limetown and a couple episodes of Stranger Things. Yeah, like there's some real solid talent behind this thing. I'm looking forward to checking it out because I've heard nothing but good things so far.
Yeah, I have yet to be disappointed by a Benson and Moorhead thing, and I'm a little biased because I got to meet them in person.
Hell yeah.
There was like a film festival in New York for that channel, IFC,
yep.
Like independent film channel. They had like a New York festival, and I saw a screening of The Endless there.
Yeah.
With a couple of people, and it was like really cool getting to meet them and talk to them and see it. But like everything they've directed so far, including their episodes of TV shows, have been like fantastic. So I'm very excited to see where Archive 81 goes.
I need to watch Synchronic again because like I had watched that when I was fresh out of a breakup, so I was like not in the best mood, and I don't know, I just wasn't in the mood to watch anything at that time. I was just not, sometimes you just get in a place where you can't really focus. And I've loved everything they do as well, but like, had you seen Resolution before you saw The Endless? Because like they tie in directly with each other, and I feel like a lot of people who like didn't like The Endless didn't like it adds an entirely different layer when you have Resolution in your mind as well.
I actually saw Resolution afterwards.
Okay, so you were able to see the little tie-ins and stuff.
Yep, but I got to hear them talk about like the tie-ins and how they did that and why they did that, and that made it a lot cooler.
Yeah, they're Saskatoon Fantastic Film Festival boys too. They
are they really?
Well, they came down for Resolution, like when that came out. I think it was 2014. I didn't get to see them there, but John talks about them and says they're just amazing guys. And and then we played The Endless, and I think Synchronic came out the year where that got a wide release. That's why we didn't get it. Either way, yeah, they're very tremendous filmmakers.
Yeah. Did you guys, when you showed The Endless, did you get the pamphlets for the cult?
No, because it was just one of the regular screenings.
Okay, yeah. When I saw them at IFC, they were handing out at the front of the theater. They had all the people in cult costumes, like just like button-ups, and they were handing out pamphlets to join the cult in the movie. And I thought
that'd be
funny.
So cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. I've always wanted to join a cult. Buzi, do you have anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, I have 2 left.
Okay.
And they're very similar in subject matter, so I'm kind of just going to tackle them at the same time. These are both from 2021. The first one is called In the Earth. It's directed by Ben Wheatley. I know, Mitch, you've watched this.
Yeah.
It's an American-British film. And both the movies I'm going to be talking about are both eco-horror, which is kind of started to become a thing, I've noticed. But this is about an infection that's spread throughout the world, and a couple people have to go into a forest area to try and meet up with another group of researchers. I think it's very cool. Deals with like spores and funguses and kind of how we've affected the world and how the world is reacting to us. It has a little bit of how would you call it? What was that one Cloverfield movie? What was the second one called?
Cloverfield or no, 10
No.
Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah, it kind
I
of
love
reminds
that
me of
movie.
parts of that. Not like if you're looking for something completely like that, I might be way off. But just kind of there's a story
Madman.
of like a madman trapping people. That's kind of more what I'm going with, less about an alien invasion.
Yeah.
So that it's pretty cool. I had this on my list forever, and it just ended up not being exactly as terrifying as I would have liked. So I mean, whatever. I think it's definitely a cool movie. You guys should definitely check it out. The other movie that I'm going to talk about that's also from 2021 and is also an eco horror movie. This movie is called Gaia.
I can't
and
wait to see this.
Directed and produced by Jaco Bauer, and it's a South African horror film. So this is about two people who work at a forestry service who get lost in the forest they work for and find some people who live out there, as well as some creatures that live out there. This film is very much like, I guess the easiest way to describe it is it's kind of like The Last of Us, and it actually has some kind of creatures like The Last of Us. It's a very cool film. It deals with a budding love story in it as well, which at the end has a very cool, I think the ending of this movie is kind of beautiful in a weird way. And I hope somebody watches it so we can talk about it.
I'm going to watch it.
I don't want to give I don't want to give anything away, but I think there's a beautiful scene that's dealing with like flowers and budding and kind of growing new life at the very end of this film that I really enjoyed. So both eco horror films that I'd recommend checking out from 2021. They just didn't end up making my list.
Do you know where Gaia is streaming, Buzi?
That
It's
I
on
do
Prime.
not.
It's
Here,
on Prime.
yeah, here we have it on Prime, so I'm not sure where it would be for you because you're a New York City boy. But
That's true.
yeah, no, and In the Earth is one that I think you might end up really enjoying too, Elio. That I forgot about that movie. Like I should have given that at least a shout out last week, but I'm happy you brought it up today because yeah, I wasn't gushing over that movie either, but it's very cerebral and very like the cinematography is like the best part. It's so fucking wild because it gets really trippy at a couple times. And I think especially if you're a fan of like stuff like what Justin Benson or Aaron Moorhead do, In the Earth is kind of along those lines.
Yeah, I think you definitely like it.
Yeah, and it's
cool.
I one episode that I've always wanted to do on this podcast, which we'll get to soon, is Kill List. Have you seen Kill List, Elio?
No, but that sounds really familiar. Remind me, what's that one about?
It's a cult movie by Ben Wheatley, the same guy, and it is so fucking good. Like the less you know, the better. Just go in and watch it. I'm pretty sure that's on Shudder even. But if it's not, it's summer. But Kill List is. I'm excited to do an episode on that eventually.
Wait a second. That's not the movie about the hitman, is it?
Yes.
Okay, that movie rocks.
Yeah.
I know that movie.
Yeah, it is so fucking good. I've only seen it once too, and I've been kind of itching to rewatch it. So I'm gonna hold off until we can do an episode on it. But yeah, Ben Wheatley is super talented. Cool. I got one last one to take us into the main feature. If you guys are cool with that. I've been on like I said, real Scream kick, and it doesn't seem to be stopping. Last couple of nights, I've been rewatching Scream. Like I'm honestly watching these movies on repeat at this time. Just very much Mitch energy right now. But I decided to check out Urban Legends: The Final Cut, the second one.
So I've been meaning to watch this too. I watched it a couple of years ago for the podcast, but
yeah, and like I know also it was a lot more of I get a little heated on the podcast over dumb things, and it's I was going through a lot back then. But I actually again, let me be clear again. I like Urban Legend. Like I really like the original Urban Legend. It's fun. It's just it's silly, and I think sometimes I take it a little too seriously. But Urban Legend's Final Cut. Oh boy, is this movie fucking bad. Like just
is that the one with the fencing suit?
Yeah.
The fencing, yeah.
Yeah.
And the bell tower, I remember.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Like I remember liking it when I was a kid, but I think I was blinded by my love for Eva Mendes. Because she's in the film and I was really into her. Same with the girl, I can't remember her name. The girl from Grind, the skateboarding movie. She's the lead character in this. Oh, and there's some really wild characters. I've watched it like less than a week ago and I've already forgotten a lot of it, but I'm gonna look it up here because I know I'm missing someone crazy from this movie. But yeah, it's just not good. Like it's really, really rough. It's one of those movies where it's like it feels like they ran out of budget like a quarter of the way through. And I don't know, I wasn't going in expecting anything amazing. I actually thought it was like, because I've heard some people say that it's kind of a, a forgotten gem or one that people need to rewatch and they might get something new out of it. It's just not. It's really rough. There's the kills.
Mitch says no to that.
What's that?
Mitch, you say no to that.
I
There's
do
no
say
nostalgia. This is not a hidden gem.
No, it is not. It's also like one of the most predictable. Like these movies, that's one of the problems with like the post Scream era is everyone was so horny about getting the reveal or something that no one would see coming, and that's why in Urban Legend the reveal is just nuts. But in this one, this remake, I was like, I feel like all you got to do is just have your eyes open in the first 20 minutes and you'll know who the killer is going to be. But yeah, it's the person I'm thinking of. So Jennifer Morrison, she's the one from Grind, shout out. Matthew Davis, he is Warner in Legally Blonde. He's Reese Witherspoon's like douchey boyfriend. He's also in Blue Crush.
Yeah,
not the sequel though.
A true classic.
Yeah. Like Anthony Anderson. Oh man, yeah, this not good. People, do not go back and try and discard. I don't know, Buzi, do you remember liking it?
I've probably just liked it because I really enjoy Urban Legends movies, but I remember it being a marked drop off from the first one.
Yeah, like the kills are just kind of pathetic. Like it's so cringy watching the kills because it feels like made for YTV, and that's no slight to YTV because shout out YTV. That's our Canadian Nickelodeon, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, not good.
It was like a bad long Goosebumps episode.
Yeah, and if it makes you if it gets you excited at all, Buzi, how I ended up watching Urban Legend the final cut is because I was looking for a place to watch Cry Wolf and I couldn't find it, but I want to rewatch Cry Wolf because I haven't seen it since it came out. It's so funny
that you mentioned that. I've been like sitting on a Blu-ray of it forever. I'm like, should I buy it? And it's only $8, but I'm sitting there like, should I buy it?
You love that movie. So
I do love that movie. Someone randomly mentioned it on Twitter and I like marked out for it. I was like, yes, you know what you're talking about.
No, and
yeah,
I want to rewatch that one because I haven't seen it since it came out, and I'm sure there's something there.
I feel like you're still gonna hate it.
Hearing the name Cry Wolf just unlocked a memory in my brain. I feel like
yes.
God, I haven't thought of that movie in like 15 years.
I'll be your Morpheus. I'll try and unlock a little bit more of your brain. What's another Cry? Oh, what was it? Cry Wolf, and I just had it. Swim Fan. Good times. Yeah, so shout out post Scream era movies. Do you guys want to start talking about Elio's pick, VHS 94?
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly mention, since we were talking about Urban Legend for a second, Jared Leto sucks ass.
Jared Leto does suck ass.
Like I hate Jared Leto.
I know.
Honestly.
You should.
Yeah, he's just a douche, but also like that's what sucks though. Is like, yeah, he's great in Requiem for a Dream. He's great in American Psycho, but like he plays a piece of shit in both those movies.
He's just being himself.
So is he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is he really acting?
Yeah. No, he's just insufferable.
I think the only thing that like it would be more representative of him in those movies if there were like underage women around him.
Yeah,
that's more his speed.
Did this thought come because did you get to see the Morbius trailer on the big screen when you went and saw Scream?
Yeah, okay, well there's that, and then you mentioned Urban Legend, but it's also the fact is like I think it's the Morbius thing that really bothers me because it's like, why the fuck are we letting this dude do stuff? Like he is a shitty person.
Yeah, and he's also like Morbius,
and he's creepy, and
Morbius should not be a fucking movie.
No.
Speaking of which, I've been putting this off. I find it took me like 8 or 10 tries, but I finally got through Venom 2. Let There Be Carnage.
No, how'd it go?
I forgot there was a Venom 2.
I don't know why for it. Like I try and torment myself. Like I punish myself. It's like, Mitch, the first 20 minutes of that movie was annoying the hell out of me. I've already said that. I said this on the Let's Talk About Stuff podcast, but I'm going to say it here for anyone who hasn't heard that. The way that I felt after the first 20 minutes, it's like being in a packed arcade with all the doors locked and like you're an adult and you're surrounded by kids and everyone's screaming, but you can't get out and you have no tokens and you're not allowed to play anything.
Oh, so it's like being at Rutgers.
Yes. The only reason I said arcade is because I don't think Rutgers is an American thing.
Wait, yeah, hold on. Is Rutgers an arcade? Because Rutgers is a college by me also.
Yeah, here it's an arcade.
Yeah, it's an arcade, and the owners drive really obnoxious vehicles that are covered in Rutgers decals.
Oh, there you go. Real quick, just because you mentioned superhero unlock the other memory. Did you guys see the Moon Knight
Oh
trailer?
yeah, baby. Boozy's not a superhero boy, but I cannot wait for that.
That looks sick. And Benson and Moorhead also directed a couple episodes of
yeah,
it,
I forgot about that. Good. And like Moon Knight is such an like a lot of like it's a lesser known character. But like I own some recent Moon Knight comic runs just in trade paperback, and they're fucking awesome. Like they came on like 2017, I think.
Well, so those were the issues that Max Bemis, the singer of Say Anything, wrote.
No. Really?
He might have. He wrote the most recent run of Moon Knight, and he did a really good job because he's also a crazy person, like Moon Knight.
Yeah, he's a psychopath, but he's also like a genius lyricist and everything. God, that's gonna drive me nuts now because I want to see if it's him. I could have sworn
because I know Max Bemis did either the most recent or the one before it. He did the entire run.
Holy shit! I didn't even realize that was him. I think this is the run that you're talking about. That I'm talking about. No, this one is Warren. Oh no! Wow, that was a major fuck up. This one was done by Warren Ellis, who's like legendary.
Also very good though.
Ellis is unreal. But all right, you guys want to get on to VHS 94?
Yeah,
let's do it.
All right, we will see you guys on the other side.
Police search warrant! Police search warrant!
Do not touch anything.
Could be no one left alive in here.
Do I just press the button?
Press the red button.
Just press it.
I assume they're paying extra for this.
Yes.
This is the remarkable story.
Hello? Hello?
Holly?
And welcome to our main feature, where we're going to be discussing the 2021 anthology film VHS 94, which was chosen by Elio. And this, like I said before, it was on Buzi's top 5 of the year. So let's kick it over to you, Elio. This is the fourth installment in the VHS franchise. I've been a big fan since the beginning. How have you been with the VHS movies?
Well, first and foremost, Hail Ratma.
Hail Ratma.
Hail Ratma.
I love the VHS series. I think the first two are really good. The first one was the first anthology horror movie I've ever seen.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, it was. I saw it in college for the first time, and it like blew my mind that the whole concept was like these are unrelated films, but there's an overarching story that kind of relates to them, and I thought that was super cool. And I really like that. The second one I thought was more of the same, where I was like, okay, these are good quality films, and I enjoy this. Viral, I thought was bad.
Yeah, most people.
I
still haven't seen it since it came out, but I remember liking it. But I was also probably hella stoned.
Yeah, and like I used to partake at the time when I watched it. I remember just being like super down.
Yeah,
like not down in a good way, but just super bummed out about Viral with like the overarching story and even the short films in that one I thought were really weak.
Yeah.
But I thought VHS 94 was a good return to form. I thought the overarching story in the beginning, like just overall, was super good. And then like I liked I'll put it this way, there was not a short film in this series that I disliked completely.
Yeah.
Usually with the VHS series, there's like one that's not as great as the other ones.
Yeah.
And while I think I don't think there's any like overly bad ones in this movie.
No, yeah, and I have them all written down here, each segment, so we'll go by segment, but since Buzi, I know you already kind of talked about this on last week's episode where we were talking about our top 10s, but which VHS films have you seen, or is it just Viral that you haven't seen?
I've seen one.
Just the first one?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and that's still probably my favorite one out of all of them, but like I
watched that like way before we ever started the podcast, so I feel like I should probably go back and check this out. And I know everyone basically I've heard from says that Viral isn't as good.
Yeah, pretty much everyone is like unanimously not a fan of that one. Yeah, and I know like Diego, he's a massive fan of the VHS franchise, and even like he bought Viral and he hated it so much that he gave it to me because I'm a completionist, and like you know, just like when I'm able to buy 94, I will buy that as well. But it's always exciting when these films come out, because you know they're presented by Bloody Disgusting, the premier horror website. I've been a reader for, you know, over a decade now at this point. So it was really cool when I found out what they were doing. And like the original VHS that I've talked about a ton already at this point, so I won't repeat myself too much, but the opening sketch, segment, short film, The Amateur Night, which was done by David Bruckner. That's the succubus segment. That one just fucking got me. Until this day, it's like, I'll just put the movie on just to watch that segment. And I do that a lot with the VHS movies, because I think 2 is a lot of people's favorites. I think 2 is good, but it has one segment in it that's just so far miles ahead of the other ones, so it kind of puts the rest of the ones in the dust. And that's like the one, you know, they brought Eduardo Sanchez back, and former guest of the show, Eduardo Sanchez and Jamie Nash, they both did the bike in the park segment on VHS too. But there's that cult one that's just so clearly better than all the other ones. Like it is wild. But yeah, this so I watched 94 again to prepare for this, because I wanted to have it fresh in my head. I had watched it when it came out, and yeah, like I think my overall thoughts from just of the whole movie is I like this movie even more now than I did. And I likely, if this episode would have been a week before we did our top 10s, I probably would have included this, because it went up in my books. I think just because, like Elio said, there isn't a segment in this that I don't not like. Like I like things about all of them. I could definitely say which one's probably my least favorite, but even that one I think has some really cool shit to offer. I think they up the creativity in this one. Like they up the camp. Like this one really feels like a campy horror movie, and I love that aesthetic of it, and all the practical effects, and the clay molding, and the sculpting that they did for some of these creatures. And you know, it suffered. The only thing it suffers from is what VHS 1 suffers from, and that's the first segment is so clearly the best one. Did you guys realize that first segment, so it's called Storm Drain, and that's only 12 minutes long?
Yes.
That's wild.
Yeah,
because it's like it left such a huge impression on like everyone who watches that. Everyone talks about Ratma,
Hail Radma.
and that's super impressive, because it's like it's the shortest segment out of all of them, and it seems to have left the biggest impression on people. I'm going to highlight some of the other ones that I really love today, but let's kick off with that. Or I guess there's the wraparound, which was written and directed by Jennifer Reeder, which is titled Holy Hell. This is the one where it's kind of set around, it feels like a SWAT team. It's got kind of like a Wreck vibe from like the 2007 Wreck movie. It's got like a siege type vibe to it, and
it kind of reminded me of like breaking into Jigsaw's place or something. I'm sure one of the Saw movies they have that.
For sure. I think something for me is I've never liked the wraparounds in like pretty much any anthology movie ever. The exception would be the Mortuary Collection, which came out a couple of years ago, which was just an absolute blast. It's available on Shudder. I love that movie. But this one, like I came around on the wraparound a little more this time, because they at least made an effort to tie it into all the other films. Like, you know, there's the video store clerk that was renting these movies out, and he's got like his face is just like pussing with blood, and it's really epic. And then they go into the Storm Drain. So who wants to start talking about? I want someone else to talk about Storm Drain here.
Elio.
All right. I mean, I'll definitely not to say no to that. I think the fact that this one's only 12 minutes is what makes it so good. They spend no time throwing you into it and like really creeping you out from the get-go. I think that's like my favorite part. I feel like with anthology films, a big problem is sometimes the shorts, because of their time limit, will only rely on like one big scare or one big moment, and that's the thing that they try to get you with and make you talk about it. Whereas with the Storm Drain, the whole thing is uncomfortable. Like from the get-go, when and this is my second time watching the movie also, and I got a lot more from it this time around. But like from everything from her talking to the weird kind of hunter with the gun in the beginning, like that was uncomfortable. It really hit me how it's freaky that like homeless guy living in the sewer drain was.
Yeah.
Buzi 2023.
Naked, wet.
And pussing with that black sludge.
Naked, wet, and pussing with black stuff.
Like that was creepy. That was like a lot. Like that got me more than Ratma got me at the end.
Hail Radma.
Like, you know, they had the really good creature design with Ratma. And
Hail Radma.
it was like really intense and really like overwhelming. And then it cuts all of a sudden and it's clear as day and it's normal again. And they're at the news station. And then she just starts vomiting acid everywhere, which was awesome. Like such a good way to wrap it up.
Yeah, it's just so fun. Like that's the thing too, is like it's creepy, but it's also like the humor. That's something that works throughout this movie, is the humor, and that they didn't have a lot of in the other VHS movies. It was they were pretty much a straightforward horror shorts, but this one, it's like the 90s TV station shit. It works so well and it's so funny, and like the little commercials that they have for like
they had like the blender.
Yeah, it's like the vegetable slicer or something like that. And it's just it's wild. But my favorite thing is like they do the whole 90s aesthetic of like the news anchor walking around and interviewing people. It just feels very authentically 90s TV. And they have the various interviews. There's like stoners, skaters, priests, and my personal favorite, the redneck hunter with the gun. Like, where did you see him? Points the gun towards it. It's very funny. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I love it. Hail Ratma, Buzi.
Hail Radma.
I actually checked out a podcast where they talked a little bit about this. So I thought it was kind of interesting. Is they just found a random storm drain and started filming in it. There was no real like planning for that. And also the artist who created Ratma.
Hail Radma.
It's slightly based on a xenomorph.
Absolutely.
Which, upon rewatch, you can definitely tell. And I like that it gives you enough of a small story that you remember it through and through, because it's not complicated. It's a rat god and he throws up on you and you either live or don't live. And then after that, every time you say his name, you can also do the same, which is pretty cool. So I think the segment's awesome. I love that when they actually give the big reveal of Ratma.
Hail Radma.
It cuts in and out with the static of the VHS tape, which is some of my favorite parts because it makes it more creepy. You're trying to figure, it's like it's tracking. So you're trying to figure out what you're seeing. And the end reminds me sorry, go ahead.
No, you talk about the end.
I was just going to say the end with the TV hosts reminds me a lot of the end of the first Howling movie.
Yeah,
I don't know if that was an inspiration for that, but it very much reminds me of that, and I like that a lot more because of that.
Yeah, it does feel like that. I never thought about that, but it totally does have. It seems like a little nod to the Howling.
Well, because you're exposing a wide audience, like your viewership, to this cult, quote unquote.
What's really cool is that it was written and directed by Chloe Okuno, who had only done shorts prior to this. So like this is obviously just like another short, but it's just really cool that they gave her an opportunity to, like I wonder how that came about, like how, they say that you were saying that you were listening to someone talk about how they didn't really even know where they were going to go with it. It's like, how do you fucking land this job? Like, because that's pretty cool, but man, did she kill it? Like she knocked it out of the park.
And I think those set pieces, like the mentioned before, makes it even creepier that it's its own little thing. And you imagine, I think Elio, you could probably sum it up best. We've always heard stories about people living in random places underground in New York.
Then there's alligators in the sewer there, aren't there?
Apparently alligators, homeless people, mole people,
Ninja Turtles,
Shredder might be down there. Batman.
Went, like in your sewer at all?
So
I love how he opens this. So
you're okay. So yes,
it's not a no. I knew it.
Oh yes.
So I live right now. I live 20 minutes, 15 minutes away out of New York City in a smaller city called New Rochelle. So don't dox me if you're listening. But growing up, I grew up in a county that was about 45 minutes over the bridge from the city, and there was a lot of abandoned military stuff there for some reason. So there's a hiking trail called Tweed Tunnel that would go underground, and there would be a lot of people. There's also an abandoned mental asylum that also went underground in my county. So a lot of my friends we would go exploring in those like underground places or the tunnel or do that. And we would find a lot of drug addicts, but also a lot of just like weird shit.
Ninja Turtles.
Okay, so
You
I'm
can say
Googling
it.
this. I definitely recommend people at home do this too. Tweed tunnels. This is very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. There was a lot of band promos that happened there.
Oh, for
Right.
sure.
It looks perfect for that.
I've been just kind of exploring Vancouver finally, because it's like, whenever it's not raining, I'll just get out, because I'm like, I've been living in this new city and I've barely gotten out of the neighborhood that I'm in. And one of my favorite parts about I took like a 4-hour walk on Sunday, and I was like, there are so many places. It's like, a band took band promos here, like absolutely. And that the camera was coming from the bottom up. But yeah, no, crazy. I just imagine, like, when you said I thought maybe you were one of those like a booze runner in the Prohibition era.
Yeah.
Like you were just running.
You're a real Al Capone.
Yeah.
I ran an underground bar. That was just,
big Al Capone. All right, well, yeah, so that's Storm Drain. Wicked segment. Let's go on to The Empty Wake, which was written and directed by Simon Barrett, who was also the writer on films like You're Next, the greatest movie of all time, The Guest, Blair Witch. And yeah, I think this one also, like, this fucking movie is very consistent. I like all the segments.
This one's
Yes, it totally is. So Kyle, wow, Elio.
Hi.
Let's hear your thoughts on The Empty Wake.
This one grew on me. I have to be honest. The first time I didn't love it. I thought it was a little slow.
So it's a grower,
That's
not a shower.
It is a grower.
Mhm.
That's my only complaint about this movie. And I have to go rewatch the other VHS ones again. Some of these segments drag a little bit.
Yeah.
But also that's like, it was my second time watching it. So, I've seen them before. But this one really set a good ambiance while you're watching it. Like, there's just something so simple but so unsettling about being in a room with a coffin by yourself.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it's such a simple concept. Like, even if there wasn't like the zombie aspect or the tornado that goes in or whatever it is, like, just the fact that she has to spend a night alone while it's raining and dark with a casket while there's just like some spooky music playing, like, that gives me the creeps just thinking about it.
Have you watched The Vigil yet?
No, I haven't.
Get on it. You're gonna love it. It's
That's
Okay,
on
I might
Netflix,
have to.
right? I have that on my list to watch.
I think it's on. I can't remember what streaming service it's on, but it's on something. I think it's Amazon, honestly.
Okay, yeah. After you talked about it, I have that on my list.
But it's solid. But it's a very similar plot line, but a very, very different film. So yeah, no, I totally agree with you. This one got better for me too on a rewatch. I think it's also like Storm Drain kicks off so hard, like it's hard to kind of keep that energy up. And then this one, does take its time at the beginning, but there's just some really cool effects. It's just really inventive, like filmmaking on a microscopic budget. Like, I feel personally, like, I know everyone hates it, but the last 20 minutes of Blair Witch is awesome in my opinion. Like when they get into the house, and I feel like this is just Simon Barrett flexing those muscles again. And I think the climax of that film is excellent. But the sound design in this is really unsettling. The ambiance, like you said, the corpse is creepy, and I specifically love like the wandering eye when it's just like a half a head. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed this one too. Buzi, what are your thoughts on The Empty Wake?
I actually wanted to tack on to what you mentioned about Blair Witch, how they had that whole tunnel sequence in there. That it does a lot of the same vibes. I will agree. I think the ambiance, like the dreary look to this place, I like that it's like run down, like it looks shitty. And I really like that the music is almost like Dracula-ish the whole time it's playing. I feel like it's music to like raise the dead. Like, I understand why this lady is concerned. I really like the idea of like the storm limiting her options of what she can do. And this does kind of remind me of like an urban legend. Like, this is something you'd tell, like kids would tell each other.
It's just a creepy little ghost story. But
exactly.
not a ghost.
And I think the end where like everything's where everything's going like crazy and the air raid sirens going off, and then it switches to the handheld aspect of it. I thought that was super fun and made for that great sequence, because we all knew that eye was going to move. I just loved that it did the back and forth, so you could kind of was like, oh, when is it built up.
Oh, that's such like a cherry on top of the cake.
I loved this is such a simple little thing that I appreciated, but when she like realizes that the zombie couldn't see her,
yes,
it could only hear her. Like, I thought that was such a like duh, the thing's on my face. How the heck is it supposed to see you?
Yeah.
And I appreciated that.
And also, yeah, like this is such a prime example too. It's like just for like just horror filmmaking in general, how important sound is. And like the sound, like the sound that the zombie makes, and like all the crashing of the tornado, like it's tense. It's a really quick little short film or segment. And it's fucking awesome. Yeah, big fan of The Empty Wake as well. Let's go on to the subject. So I'm assuming that this is one that Elio was saying drags on a little bit. Like there's a couple segments that might drag on a little bit, but this one is written and directed by Timo Cencento. And in my opinion, as much as this is like, there's a good debate to be made that this might be the weakest one of the bunch, just because of how long it is. I think that's, the mad doctor scientist trope, that's just a plot device that's timeless, and it's great. I think that you can always do something really interesting with that, like CC, Frankenstein, Reanimator, the Human Centipede. They always at least offer up something kind of, at the very least, grotesque, but it is a little bit unnecessarily long, I think. But once it starts actually rolling, I think this thing's fucking awesome. Like, I love the concept of it, and it's probably the most brutal out of all of them, like brutally violent, and it's intense. What do you guys think about the subject?
Elio, do you mind if I do this one and then you can kind of round it off?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh man. All right, so I will have to agree. I hate to be that person, but this one is, no matter how many times I watch this one is my least favorite. And I'm starting to realize that not because it's bad in any way. It just, I think the reason I don't like it is because it doesn't feel like it fits at all within this. It sticks out so much like a sore thumb. And it's even the visual aspect of it. It doesn't feel like 1994. It has the whatever effects that they use on it. It doesn't look like all the other ones. The other ones look like poorly color corrected. This one kind of seemed like a hard. This is what I imagine, because I haven't seen it yet. This is what I imagine Hardcore Henry is kind of like.
This is better than Hardcore Henry, but you're not off on that assessment.
Oh, okay. And then kind of where it goes from there, and it turns into, which I thought the action in this was really cool. It kind of does like an homage to like Doom in this, and there's also very much you can tell they're inspired by like Resident Evil. All that stuff is really cool within that. I think the reason I don't like it as much is because it's so much different, and it throws me off, because even the segment that comes after, I feel very much fits with everything else.
No, you're entirely right that this one does feel like it feels out of place.
And even just visually, like if they would have just put a different filter on there, maybe you could have that level of immersion, but it doesn't even have that.
Yeah. What about you, Elio?
Yeah.
I agree with both of you. It's good. Like I said, it's no means bad. It's a little too long, but it's really funny because this is a me problem. This is not a movie problem. I watched this and all I could think of was like the mid 2000s Carl Urban Doom movie with The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry. For some reason, I went to Dread. I was like, Dread's fucking awesome. Don't you dare.
No,
Dread.
Yeah,
like Doom, Dread rules.
That Doom movie is rough.
It's really bad. Yeah. And I remember when I was like a kid, the big thing about the Doom movie was like, oh, they go first person, like the video game.
Yeah.
And it's awful. It's so bad.
Yeah.
So like that stink came like 15 years later and came back into VHS 94, because while it was done so much better in this movie, and it was just the mere fact that it's a woman with a camera for a head, and that's terrifying. And you feel for the character, you feel frustration, you feel the terror that she's feeling. I still couldn't disconnect from that Carl Urban movie, and that's all I could think about while watching this.
I like that a movie that stars Carl Urban and The Rock is a Carl Urban movie. Let's just point that out right there. I like that you went that route. I appreciate that.
To be fair, he wasn't the superstar he was yet.
True.
So
yeah, he wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't Billy
Do you
Butcher.
think he regrets that one? Like that and like the Tooth Fairy?
Was he in the Tooth Fairy? Who was in the Tooth Fairy?
He was the Tooth Fairy.
The Rock.
Oh wait,
he was.
Oh, I keep on getting him mixed up with Vin Diesel, which is funny because they hate each other, but they're the same.
No, Vin Diesel was the pacifier.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Which is an actual good movie.
Is not a good.
I was gonna
movie.
say that's a good movie. I'll fight for that movie.
Okay, I'm gonna have to watch The Pacifier again. Let's see if when I get to it. I'm pretty sure it's
Kyle
on Disney
agrees with
Plus.
me. I
Oh
think
yeah, of
we
course
mentioned
Kyle
it this
does.
year.
Speaking of video games though, Elio, did you ever play Titanfall or like Titanfall 2?
Yeah.
I love Titanfall 2. Like I think that game is fucking awesome. And that's the one thing that this short did that I really enjoyed is it brought back memories of like when you have to jump on the Titans and you like just obliterate the top, you beat the piss out of their heads so that you can expose the wires and shoot it. They do that in this with like the brains and everything, but yeah, it's definitely, I don't know, it gave me Titanfall energy, but it's just definitely too long. I think the first like 10 minutes of this segment could have been summed up in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you made a good point though. I didn't think of that it's like it is so clearly it sticks out like a sore thumb because the next segment, which is called Terror, this is the next and last segment of VHS 94. This one was written and directed by Ryan Prowse. And this one has the same feel, the same aesthetic that we get from The Empty Wake and that we get from the Storm Drain. And this one, I'm curious because I've heard this one is the one that really is divisive online with people, it seems. And I fucking love this thing. Like I think it's funny and it brings back the campy nature of the effects work, and it's got kind of a cool idea, and it's a clear homage to The Thing in so many different ways. What do you guys think of Terror? Not the band. The band sucks.
Whoa, hold on. Wait a second. Are you kidding?
No, we can't do this.
Mitch is not a keeper of the faith.
I am not a keeper.
Mitch.
Scott Vogel can suck my dong.
Oh my God, I gotta leave the show.
That's who Scott Vogel is.
Mitch just went Joker mode.
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn into the Joker.
Love hardcore, hate terror. Go on, Elio.
Oh my God. Oh, sorry, you just dropped a bombshell.
Yeah.
This one I liked better the second time compared to the first time. To be totally honest, I think the first time I watched this, I watched it at night, and I think I watched it in 2 sittings. But I was so kind of like burnt out by the end of the last segment into this one that I was kind of ready for the movie to kind of be done or be over. But rewatching it this time around, I had a lot more fun with it because I recognized what I was going into, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Where I realized like, this is a comedy segment. This is not supposed to be a scary segment. It's not supposed to be a like creepy segment. This is true a comedy segment. And
I figure these are all the
that,
Americans that you deal with anytime you walk outside your door, Elio.
I would be lying if I said I didn't know people like this.
Oh, this is also very like that's the thing. They're
This reminds me of Saskatchewan.
Yeah, it's Saskatchewan too. They're roasting like the right wing, like Trump. Like I had just, oh God, sorry, this is off topic, but I recently watched the documentary 4 Hours at the Capitol. It was all about the Capitol riots.
Right.
And I realized like as there's 20 minutes left and I was just drained of life and like just furious and angry and mad and sad. I was like, what did I think was gonna happen? Like why did I start watching these dumbasses? But it's totally like this predates the Capitol riots, obviously. Like this was made before. And it's like it feels like all of those people that were a part of that, but fighting vampires.
And I think it was just like watching how woefully unprepared they were at the tail end of it. Yeah. Like when it went bad, I was like, oh, this rocks. Like the whole last 5 minutes of this sketch, segment, whatever you want to call it, it's just so good.
Yeah. No, it's funny, it's wild. It's got kind of vibes of I spoke about it recently on the podcast, but the short film Treevenge. I don't know if you guys have watched that yet, but it's a masterpiece. It's made by the guy who made Jason Eisner. He made Hobo with the Shotgun. Yeah, it's absolutely great, but it's got very much the same type of energy. But yeah, and overall, like, I don't know, I think I don't love the ending of the wraparound, but yeah. But wait, Buzi, we didn't even get your thoughts on Terror yet.
No, we haven't. Let me just cut in. Well, I will agree with the fact that this segment goes very much back to the same stylistic vibe as the first two, which is very welcomed because it brings me back into, I'm supposed to be feeling that 1994 energy. And this is very much, this is a comment on like the QAnon thing. And I like how you mentioned about the riots. On a quick side note, Sean Broom, our buddy, former guest of the show, his podcast, The Pure Boys, they have a segment where they'll just talk about tweets that Kevin Sorbo, like the old Hercules, have made. That. And they pointed out the fact that during the like riots, he was all about, he's like, the uprising is happening. And then once it all got shut down, he just deleted all those tweets really fast. So they like to, you know, remind him about that.
Jesus.
Anyway, just talking about this segment, aside from the fact that I love that it's just this bunch of yokels running around in the woods. You could tell they don't really know what they're doing. They'll like accidentally point their guns at each other and shit. I love that they're like bond over like beers and they tell weird stories to each other. It does take a while for the segment to get going, but once it does, I thought the vampire monster thing was super cool. I like that they all started dropping kind of like minions, like they would just like accidentally shoot each other in the ass and stuff. I don't know. Yeah. It was really fun. And then it ends with a song about dead cops.
Hell yeah.
I honestly I have to fuck 12. I do have to say that this is a segment that has definitely been a grower, not a shower. The first time for me, I really felt like it dragged on. It wasn't that interesting, and maybe I was just a little bit burnt out. But the second time, third time, you know, just watching it on from there,
it's fun.
It is fun, and it is kind of a nice light way to end it.
Yeah. And one thing I didn't mention too, once again, writer-director Ryan Prowse, he made the film Low Life from 2017. And I'm not sure if either of you guys have seen it, but this is like, it's on my list of shame because we played it at the festival in 2017. And I know it was like very highly rated. Like people love this movie and it's supposed to be just absolutely bonkers, but it's like an action movie with a guy with a luchador mask. It's definitely something that I'm intending on checking out right away here because I want to fill that blind spot because people seem to love his filmmaking style. And it's cool that he made this really wacky, wild rendition of The Thing. And yeah, did something a little bit new with the vampire subgenre.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just think this movie, I'm happy you chose this, Elio, because I probably wouldn't have rewatched it again for a while. But even though I just rewatched it, like I've seen it now twice in the last 3 or 4 months, really come around on like how much I like this movie.
Yeah, Buzi was the main reason why I picked it. I listened to that episode and I was like, hey, he was right. That was a really good movie. And that's like something we could talk about and have a good conversation about. Like I always judge my horror movies on, can I show this to a friend and will they have a good time? Because I'm a big fan of like showing people movies and having everyone get together and enjoy it.
It's a great organic experience, is showing something or something you love to somebody and they genuinely actually enjoy it.
Or something that you hate and they genuinely love it.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, and it's like in the past I've had it happen with some like good movies, like Velocipaster. My friends loved. They thought that was like the funniest movie. But even like Hell House LLC,
yeah,
so
like
good.
That's all-time favorite for me. And like I've shown groups of people that movie and they get scared, but more importantly, they have fun with it. And that's like something with this VHS, especially with the levity of I don't know if every VHS was like this, but I know with 94, I feel like in general the segments were a little bit more lighthearted.
Yeah, they totally were.
And I think that would be good for a crowd. You know what I mean? You have a movie night, get some popcorn, do a potluck, got a bunch of people there. That'd be a good
Yeah,
time.
I think this movie has insane amounts of rewatchability for that fact. It's kind of, it has that weird jack of all trades. Like if you want to watch something creepy, there's something in there for you. If you want to put this on at a party, somebody's going to get something out of this. They're going to maybe just hail Ratma, which
Hail Ratma.
would be fantastic. You need more people.
Wonder how many times I'm going to put the Hell Ratma clip in this episode.
Hail Ratma.
Not enough is the true total.
Hail Ratma.
I'm going to put it in every single time that we mention Ratma.
Hail Ratma.
Just like anytime Derek mentioned AFI, I put that Davey Havoc. Oh, I don't know if you guys have heard that yet.
Do you think that we could get a full on Ratma movie?
Hail Ratma.
That'd be great. I would love a full-on Ratma movie.
Hail Ratma.
I would too. I think that'd be fantastic.
I don't know. I don't think I would want it.
Yeah, I think we might be getting
Come
greedy.
on. I feel like it's like Terrifier. I feel like this could be some Terrifier shit where it just blows up and that could be a character and you put it on a fucking mug or whatever.
But I also want my Ratma shrouded in mystery.
Hail Ratma.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
truth.
I don't need the Ratma origin story.
No.
That's true.
Either way, great film, really solid anthology movie, one of the best in years. I'd put it right next to Mortuary Collection and stuff like that. It breathes some. It's cool having the VHS franchise back, and I hope this isn't the end. I hope we get VHS 2004, because boy, do I got an idea for that. That I would love to see someone do. But yeah, there's lots.
We could see you do it.
That would be great. I would love that. I just need the rights for Vitamin C graduation song and I'm set.
Oh man, I was just thinking about that the other day. Like,
Yeah.
what do you think her set list was? Like just that and then to just be it?
Back to Jared Leto, that stupid fuck. Do you know he broke the Guinness Book of World Records for like touring the same album for the longest amount of time? Like just
wasn't it like 11 years or something?
Yeah, they just toured the same album over and over and over again. I just pictured
like two singles on that fucking thing. That's
yeah,
it.
It's like From Yesterday and The Kill. And the only reason I know that is because it was forced on me by Much Music. Shout out, rest in peace. All right, you guys want to wrap up for the night? Like Elio, thank you so much for coming on, man. This was a ton of fun. It was a great finally being able to talk to you face to face.
Yeah, I'm glad I got to hang out with you two without having to fly to Canada, which I'm sure I'm going to end up doing to go to the Saskatoon Fantastic Film Fest eventually.
Oh man, you should.
But
that would be great. It's a priority for me that I always want. I want to go back every year for that because it's a great festival. It's a ton of fun.
It's a good time.
Yeah, Bryson came out for one of them, and I know he's been wanting to come back ever since. And then we can do our updated prom photos. Me and Bryson got prom photos there. But yeah, Elio, where can people follow you and let's start with that. Where can people follow you?
Okay, so if you're interested in my day-to-day bullshit, what is it? Knifethroat New York at Twitter.
I love your Twitter.
My Twitter is garbage. It is ridiculous. Yeah, so it's Knifethroat NY or at Knifethroat NY. I talk a lot about books because I read a lot of books. And a lot of pop punk and music, but you know how it is.
Mm-hmm.
So Knifethroat NY for the Twitter. Bandcamp, if you ever want to give me money, you can download my music, but don't pay money for it. Download it for free if you're going to download it or listen to it on Spotify or Apple Music. Knifethroat.bandcamp.com. I have a 5-song demo on it right now. A single that I recorded was a Chumbawamba cover, and it wasn't the Chumbawamba song that everyone knows. It was one of their folk songs.
Whoa!
And then I got the 2 new. It's a deep cut, and then I got the 2 new tracks coming out soon, so you'll all be able to hear that this episode, and then we'll have that. And then just the big thing is Spotify. If you can listen to me on Spotify or Apple Music, it goes a long way. I don't really want money or anything for this project. Literally, all I want is on Spotify, if you ever have over 100 listeners in 1 month, you get related artists, and that's my main goal. I just want related artists. That's all I care about.
Sounds good.
So definitely check it out, listen to it, follow me on whatever. Glad to talk horror movies, music, and if you follow me on Twitter, I'll probably become friends with you like I did harassing Mitch and Buzi.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. No, and what song are we going to be playing on the outro here?
Let's do Jawbreaker. Short, sweet. It's it's kind of the single energy. It's a lot of yelling, which is what I'm good at. So
yes, awesome. So this is the one about grinding your teeth, and it's Jawbreaker.
Yep, grinding your teeth and not giving, and people not caring what you have to say. It's not important.
Hell yes. Awesome. Okay, great. Well, thanks again, Elio. And we will see all of y'all next time on the Terror Table. Here is Jawbreaker by Knifethroat.
Put it in your butthole.
I pop my jaw straight up off the hip. I taste blood sneaking down my lips. I broke my jaw to hide my words. Swallow every vile thing I wanted you to hear. Maybe it's better that I can't say a word. Maybe it's better if I keep this to myself. Maybe it's better if I don't sing this song. Maybe it's better, but hey, maybe not. Don't say anything. It doesn't matter. Who's even listening? Blah, 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 blah. There's a process, a method to the madness. Hidden meaning deep within the silence. It might be better if we hold it quiet.